I think reading should be for pleasure
Yeah.
or for you to think or be more retrospective about, life in general. But if it's just to scare me, why would I do that as a form of entertainment? So,
uh, I actually thought so too, but I don't know. I have this feeling that make me suffer when I read the book. So that's why I like Haruki Murakami sometimes.
Because we are in the middle of the pandemic, a lot of us are still working from home or staying indoors. So, in today's episode, I will be talking with two of my good friends who would share with us one of the things that we could do during our Netflix downtime. And since I don't technically read books, so I've also asked them a couple of or a lot of questions that could help me out in my reading journey. So, hi, Camps. Hi, Says.
Hi, Glee.
How-
hello, nice to be here, Glee.
Thank you. How are you?
All good. How about you?
Yep,
Good.
doing good as well.
And, we've been classmates since high school, and I noticed both of you are really into reading books, especially Camps. I remember you bringing some books to school and reading during, like recess time or something like that. When did Camps and Says, when did you started reading or having that love for reading?
All right, so for me, I started when my aunt gave me a comic book. It's an Archie comic book when I was still around, I guess I was still 10. So I started with comic books and the Sweet Valley a series during that time. And then I transitioned to Harry Potter. But it wasn't until I graduated that I read more diverse genres. And until now, I try to read one book each month if possible.
One book each month. Oh, wow. How about you, Camps?
Hello. So I actually started reading when I was like in second or third grade, I think. And the reason I started reading was because I couldn't relate to a lot of my classmates back then. I went to a private school in Bacolod City, and it was one of the most poshest school there. And I wasn't rich at all. My family wasn't rich, so I didn't have a lot of friends. And I found friends in the books that I read, and the characters in the books that I read. And because of that, I started reading like 2 books a day when I was in third grade, and I became like the borrower of the year. I had that award for
Oh.
like a couple of years after that. I also started reading with Sweet Valley Sil, so we're the same in that sense. We started with the same kind of genre, I guess,
Oh.
when we were young. Sweet Valley
Mm-mm.
Kids, and
Yes,
then Sweet Valley High, and then Sweet Valley
Ah,
Middle
yeah.
School, all of that.
yes,
Yeah, I
So
remember
so
that
it was
now.
great to see. Yeah, it was great to see their journey, like our age, and then as they grew up, we also grew up, and like relate to how they were as sisters, right? So and as friends. So it was something that I felt like I was a part of. Something that I didn't have friends in school, I had it with the books that I read, and it was just a great experience. That in high school, you guys became my friends, and like I found the people that actually are like at the same level as I was. And well, if there weren't any people like that, I would find them in the books that I read. So that's the reason why I love reading books. I still read up to this day. I feel like I always know that if I'm sad or happy or whatever it is that I'm feeling, I can always depend on the books that I read to like feel something, to be connected with other people that are not like my friends in real life, right? So
Yeah.
there.
In a sense, I could relate in terms of like not having friends or when I become lonely, but I do it. I watch anime. Yeah, so before I also read Harry Potter. I think that's what got me started reading in high school. Although I had some few books before. Do you know Goosebumps? I don't know if
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
yes.
goosebumps.
goose.
R.L. Stein.
Yeah,
First grade.
yeah,
So I
and
think like even though you don't really like reading books, but you and I are, and Cecil too, right? Like stories in general. And I think whatever form of those stories, may it be in the written form such as novels or books, or may it be an anime or movies or series, those kinds of things are what captures people, and be entertained, feel connected, etc., etc. Because it's all a story kind of storytelling kind of thing, right?
Yes, exactly. Says she tries to read or she reads one book per month. How about you? Do you have like kind of a like a habit or you target that you always okay, I need to like read 25 books in a year or something like that?
Actually, I don't have any kind of target. I just read whenever I feel like it. So like there are times that I don't like reading at all, and there are times I'm just on a reading sprint. So I just like play it by ear because I know it's always gonna be there for me. Whatever it is, I don't have to set goals, etc.
And with that, do you normally read the hard cover, so not the hardcover, but the physical books? Says Cam and Cam?
From me, I'm trying to cut off from buying physical books. So I'm maximizing the use of my Kindle device. So I try
Mm.
to buy or download digital books if it's legal in your country. So it's legal here, so I download books.
All right. And how about you, Cams? Do you prefer the physical books or the ebooks?
It actually depends on the kind of book that I'm reading. So if it's like something related to maybe self help or management or something that I want to learn something from, so it's not just purely for entertainment. Those books I like it on electronic form so that I can highlight, I can like put in tags and then search criteria, etc. Something that I can do with any of the apps that are available on our phones or devices, right? But if it's something just for purely entertainment, I just want to chill out. It's a book that I just do on my own time without anything that I want out of it. I always prefer the physical copy of the book. So that one I actually have a target per month. I actually have to buy
Oh,
like at least one book per month or two books a month. The physical copy of the book. So I go to Fully Books or National Bookstore or go online, etc. I try to find one book a month at least to buy.
and then says you have something to add?
Yeah, I do sometimes miss the smell and feel of books. So there are times when I try to buy books. Before pre-COVID, I frequent book sale, and unfortunately, I think book sale is available now online. So
Mm.
I miss that kind of shopping pre-used book, the smell of pre-used book inside thrift shop. So sometimes I do get to buy whenever I visit them, but yeah, those
Mm.
are just sometimes.
Yeah, I heard about that as well. That a lot some bookworms they really prefer the smell, the smell of the book, and that's
Yeah,
why
the smell actually helps in the whole experience, I think. And also like Cecil, if you go to a store and that you have like nothing, no list in mind, just want to be surprised about what you're gonna find in the bookstore, right? So sometimes you just feel it, read the cover, read the back, go through some of the pages. That's an experience that a lot of us like to do. And well, unfortunately, due to COVID, we can't do that anymore so much. So me right now, what I do is I have this list of books. Well, Cecil also has one, the Goodreads app. And I have like a list of wish list already that's there. So whenever I see that a book is available, for example, online, I try to order it now from that list. But I do miss the feeling of going to a store and then just smelling the place and then just being surprised by the books that you get out of that experience, right? So yeah,
yeah,
unfortunately, we can't do that so much anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, if you remember back in the day when we were in high school, we usually go to the library and borrow the books like Nancy Drew. That's what I remember. And is the library now in the Philippines like Manila or Cebu? Do you know if some people actually go there and borrow books even like pre-COVID? Do you have an idea?
For Cebu, I have a friend who uh, worked with who had a project with the Cebu Library. located in near Osmeña Boulevard. That library, it was before COVID. It operated 24 hours a day. So a lot of students go in there to study and even non-students. And I did try to borrow a book. However, I'm not a Cebu City resident, and it's
Oh.
one of their requirements to have
Really?
to open a borrower's card. Yeah. So
Oh.
it was really odd at the time. So I ended up just reading the book inside. And they do
Mm.
for internet, but you have to pay for it. So it
Mm.
was a bit weird, and to think it is a public library. So it was quite a frustrating experience to know that I am not allowed to open
Yeah.
or borrow a book.
Yeah,
Very
I'm
discriminating.
yeah. I'm surprised. I'm quite surprised with that because I heard it one time. I think that was like maybe a year, more than a year. So, and I was like, oh, there's a new library, and then it would have been good for the public to really use it like anywhere from in the Philippines, right? Like I don't know. But anyway, back to the Goodreads wish list. Do you in the Goodreads app, do you normally have like your wish list is available to the public and then they can see your wish list or the books that you've read? Is that how it works?
I'm not really sure, or if it's just based on the friends that follow you or that you follow. Do you know more still?
I don't really have a list. Just look for books. I try to tag it as want to read. So they have three tags. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have read it, if you want to read it, and usually if I want that book, I want to read that book, so I tag it as want to read, and then that's it. But
Uh,
um I do join the reading challenge, the yearly reading challenge, where you set a specific goal on how many books you will read
Wow,
each year. So I try to, like last
that's
year, I
great,
tried
Sil.
to. It's great, but I don't usually complete it. So last year I wanted to read 40 books, but I ended up just around 30. But
30 is
it's not
still
a
a
big problem
lot.
anyway. Yeah,
Still a lot.
It's still a lot for me, especially for me.
It's still a
and,
lot. Still.
and yes, Cam?
Me,
yeah.
the way I use Goodreads is more of a, if I like search for something online or in the store, scan the ISBN, right? It's the code behind the book at the back of the book, and then I just look
Mhm.
at the ratings. If it's a good rating, then I look at a few comments just to be sure that I'm getting a good one. So that's the only thing that I actually use Goodreads for. And if, for example, I see like a similar book because there are a few suggestions, I just put it as a want to read. And I look at the best book, for example, of 2020, and then I haven't read some of them. I will just put it as a want to read. So when I go online and I buy a book, or if I go to a store and then I buy a book, I check first that list if it's in my want to read already. And then if I do then it's a good match, right? But if it's not, then I just like read it and then I
Mm.
just buy it and then for example, put the stat there as about to read. It's not that updated as Cecil has. Like she puts in comments and all that. I don't really do that. Just use it as a way to ensure that I buy good ones.
Mm. And with your list or in the Goodreads, like, do you have any like preferred genre or author that you usually pick up?
Me, I like anything
Uh,
that actually just has a story. So right now, I'm really really addicted to Neil Gaiman books, and well, right now I'm reading a novel about tech management and operations that I was so surprised that it's something that's readable, because most of the time management books aren't so readable. So
Mm.
this one I like, but most of the time I go with something fiction related, something fantastical actually. And then if it's not Neil Gaiman, I go with something Murakami. So those are
Mm.
my main genres. How about you, Sil?
yeah, we do share the same love for Neil Gaiman and Haruki Murakami. I do remember borrowing some books from you related to Neil Gaiman and Haruki Murakami, though. but I didn't finish the Wind Up Chronicles. It was
Yeah, it's so
so
boring.
heavy.
Me too. That was like
Anyway,
the most boring one.
so aside from that, I recently took a liking for South Korean writers. So I've read
Mm.
Pachinko by Min Jin Lee and Human Act by Han Kang. I'm currently in the search for some Southeast Asian writers. So I'm looking for Thai writers and soon Filipino writers as well.
Ah, that's great. And I don't know if there was the I don't know if you're not into BTS, but I saw some
No.
I saw it was like a BTS show that Namjoon, one of the BTS members, was
Mm-hmm.
carrying a book and he was like
By
reading
Han
it.
Kang.
Yeah, is it that one? Is it the
Yes.
Pachinko or not
No,
the
it's Han Kang, Human Act. So
ah
I didn't read it because of BTS, but I I previously read
mm,
another book by Han Kang, and the title was The Vegetarian, and it was odd and eerie, and I
oh,
kind of like that type of genre. So I tried to read it, and I liked it, and
oh,
Do
it's
you,
really nice. It's based on a South Korean history, the Gwangju uprising. So
oh.
wow.
it's based on history. It's really nice.
Is it a
And
heavy read still or something that's light?
It's heavy. Yeah,
Oh,
I,
I got it.
I read
describe
like
heavy, like is it like murder or
brutal. It's gory.
ah
So I read
Oh,
2 chapters and I couldn't go to sleep for quite some time. So
oh my
I
god.
read something light to dissipate my imagination.
Oh.
wow. I don't like those kinds of books.
Okay.
Even in movies, I don't like horror, right? So you guys know that. So
Mm.
I'm afraid. Actually,
It's
psychological thrillers and those kinds of books, I kind of veer away from because I think reading should be for pleasure or for you to
Yeah.
think or be more retrospective about life in general. But if it's just to scare me, why would I do that as a form of entertainment? So
uh, I actually thought so too, but I don't know. I have this feeling that make me suffer when I read the book. So that's why I
Oh.
like Haruki Murakami sometimes because
yeah.
there's some so he makes you suffer whenever he his characters undergoes through a certain personal journey. So it I don't know. Maybe I'm a mas ano
Masochist. No,
masochist.
you're not.
Oh no.
Anyway, but yeah, because of that, I also watched another movie based on the Gwangju uprising. It's A
Oh.
Taxi Driver, and it's also really nice.
A
Oh.
taxi
Uh,
driver is
yeah,
the
and
oh.
the actor was from Parasite, so
Oh.
Wow, that's a good
he's
movie
really
if
good.
ever.
Yeah, it
Ah.
is, and
Eh,
it's also based on a true story as well.
oh. And is it in on Netflix or some third party website?
Yes, third party website.
Oh.
Download it if it's legal.
Yeah. But anyway, maybe
Oh,
it
but
will come to Netflix or sometime soon. So
oh, I think
we'll
sorry, let me just correct myself. I think it's a different book that Namjoon reviewed. It's
oh.
the title is Kim Ji Young 1982. So it's
Mm.
about women empowerment, and it was
Wow.
it was released in 2018 when there was a movement in South Korea about race discriminations, gender.
Mm.
So I think that was it. It became
Yeah,
popular
it's
because of
the book became so popular and was even sold out when
yes.
that BTS member Namjoon was reading it.
Wow, what an
Mm.
influence.
Yeah.
And it actually became a movie.
Oh,
So
really?
watch it
Really?
from third party website. I just
And
like the actor. It's Gong Yu.
oh, really? Gongyu, do you know Gongyu Camps?
No, not familiar
No.
with any of those names. But I trust your taste and Cecil's taste as well. It's just not for me.
But you
And
should read it, Carms. It's really nice. It's maybe it's heavy, but it's not too heavy as the one that I've mentioned earlier, the Human Act. But that one is really good.
Thanks, Sil. Give me a copy of it after this call.
Yes, I will.
yeah, and you talked about like you have this goal of reading two books per month or like 30 books or 40 books in a year. Can you give us advice, some pieces of advice, like basically how to read faster? Or how to make time for reading like
For me, Glee, it's different. I think per person, how fast or how slow you read shouldn't matter. You should just read at least a book or have one active book at any one time. For me, that's something that everyone has to aspire to, because reading is really difficult for some people. Like you have other passions. You sing, you play the guitar, you do other creative things. So that's something that is where your heart is. Books may be like something like of a chore to you. So for me, just like have one active book, and don't be limited to just one genre. Just go out there, even if it's a comic book, even if it's a really really short children's book, for example. Just have some one active book at one time that you're reading. Because for me, you have to grow this love for it. It really doesn't matter what kind of book you read. It just has to be something that you like to do. That you don't feel like it's a chore for you, that you have to be interested in it. And if once you find that kind of genre that does that to you, you can explore and then maybe challenge yourself to read heavier book or thicker book, and all those things. But it really has to be like a journey for you. So other people who don't also like to read, that's also what I do. Because my sister, for example, really really hates reading, and we're so different as people. But when I, for example, bought something, like I try to go around and give her some books that she would be interested in, and then I think her genre was YA or young adults genre, something that spoke to her. I kept
mm,
buying her more books in that sense, and then also my mom, like Grisham books, for example. I kept buying her Grisham books as well, until like it became a habit for them to read. So it's something that I think I encourage everyone to read, but find something that speaks to you, like in the same way that other people like horror movies, or other people like comedy movies. It's the same kind of thing when you read a book. It should be something that you are entertained with, whatever it is the purpose for you to read. Is it something for you to learn, or something for you to just pass the time or be entertained? It has to address that purpose. And reading does that for you in so many ways.
thank you so much for that, Cams. And Says,
Well said, Gams. I agree with her with what she said, that you don't have to pressure yourself to finish a book or read fast, because since last year I have difficulty picking up a book, to be honest. So what I did was I mostly read webtoons instead. And
mm,
when I felt that it was okay for me to read, I tried to pick up a certain book and try a few chapters, and if I like it, it just flows naturally. And if I didn't like it, I had to find another book. Like a compromise on myself as well, that it's okay to not finish the book, and then you can always get back to it later on.
mm. Yeah, and for me actually I have also the same dilemma that when I pick up a book, it if like the first few pages, if it doesn't really pique my interest, like I'm just not gonna continue. And it happens to a lot of books, so I don't know if it's really just my problem.
No, maybe you just haven't found the right genre for you or the right
Yeah,
author for you. That
you're
happens.
not
So it's a
alone.
journey, Glenn. Yeah. Even I or Cecil, I wouldn't read the book through and through if I don't like the first few pages. I have to be hooked. Otherwise,
Mm,
because the first few pages tells you that the author is a good writer, that the story is actually something that interests you, and you shouldn't go through the whole journey if it's so suffering for you, right?
mm,
If it's like so,
Agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I do remember asking Cams, because one time she posted on Instagram a certain quote, and I asked chapter. I think I laughed about it or what it was, but it led me to know that she was reading Eleanor Oliphant. And when
Ah,
I
that
tried
was a
reading
good
the
one.
book, I liked it. I did finish it like in just a few days. So thank you for that, guys.
It's really, really good, no, Sil? Eleanor
Yes, it
Oliphant.
is.
What is the genre of Eleanor something? Sorry, I forgot the.
Oliphant.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know the genre. Maybe it's not anymore young adult still, right? Because she was like already on her
Mm-mm.
30s. So about, I don't know, what is the genre for that? I don't know.
I actually also don't know, but it's
So
I don't know. It's more it.
maybe,
I just know that it talks about mental health
Ah,
and
okay.
yeah.
yeah,
It was
Ah.
talk
and
about.
her journey to getting better was really commendable, and it's not a hard it was a hard road, but she went through it.
Was it an autobiography of the author or just like a character?
No,
Of
it's just fiction.
okay. Mm. Aside from that, I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on audiobooks? Do you use it or do you listen to it or not really?
To be honest, I'm not really a fan of audiobooks. It
Same.
me it makes me sleepy. I do listen to podcasts, however, but not just audiobook. I tried listening to an audiobook pre-COVID when I traveled to the workplace. So my travel daily commute takes around 1.5 to 2 hours. So it's a good opportunity for me to listen to audiobook, but I just fell asleep, so I can't remember anything at all. So I'm so sorry.
It's so Cecil to fall asleep.
And how about you, Cams? Have you
Mm,
tried? What are your thoughts on it?
I like audiobooks if it's poems that I listen to. So because you don't really read poems, right? It's different if
Mm,
it's someone reads it aloud. There's a lot of feelings, etc. And those nights when you just feel like so so stressed and empty with work and you can't really use your eyes anymore because you've been in the computer the whole day, right?
mm,
So what I do is I listen to poems on Spotify or on YouTube. Someone
mm,
one of those poets just reads, like for example Pablo Neruda or one of those poets right now that are the spoken word poets right now. So I listen to those kinds of audiobooks. I'm not sure if they're considered audiobooks, but essentially audio type of
mm,
literary entertainment. That's the most that I can do. But like listening to a whole book in audio format, maybe not.
mm.
But I hear
Oh,
still Neil Gaiman actually has a few audiobooks that he's the one who spoke. So actually that's kind of interesting. He just never went and like explored it.
mm.
It's something
Really?
maybe that yeah, there is.
I will find it later. I try
Yeah.
to listen to his voice and
Yeah, it's
make
really
me
nice.
sleep.
His voice is so
Oh.
I don't know, whole. Is that even a word? So deep
But I
I
know
don't
what you mean,
and
know.
like
enchanting.
very, like I don't know, is it baritone, but something like
Yeah.
envelopes the whole room or something like that.
Yeah. He has like a gravitas or something.
Mm.
It's nice to hear his voice and then him relaying his own stories in his own voice. That's so cool, but haven't really explored that one yet.
Cause me, I usually listen to audiobooks, and there was one that I was very I enjoyed very much, which was The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's a very
Oh,
old one, right?
mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's a classic.
yeah,
But that's a
and
good one, Sil. Glide.
and it was I didn't read the book, but I listened to the audiobook, and the narrator, I forgot what was his name, but do you know Alfred from Batman? Is it Alfred the butler?
Ah,
That
in the
British
Batman movies.
actor?
I know the
Oh,
face, but I can't put the
yeah,
name.
I forgot his name as well, but he was the narrator, and it was read beautifully. Like it's like
Wow.
you can you can feel, like he changes his voice, when if there's an alien or something like that. So it was very, like, I didn't really fall asleep on that. And yeah, so yeah, for me, I think I just normally, because I feel that if I read a book, I easily get tired reading. So yeah, so that's why I go to audiobooks. And now I tried this. I don't know if you know. I think because you are such bookworms, but if you know Blinkist app, no?
I know it, but
I
it's a paid app, right, Lai? So
Yeah,
I
so
didn't buy.
because for recently I think that was last year, so I'm almost expired in my subscription, but I tried to use it because it helps me, like, read or discover books, but it's mostly actually not non-fiction books, like I think like some management book camps and all those stuff, but it's
Mhm.
more of summarized version because, as I said, like, I cannot really read the whole book. So yeah, it was like 10-minute read and I'm
Mhm.
done.
At least it tells you if it's a story that is interesting for you. So if you want to read the whole book, you get the
Mm,
summary version of it, right? So
yeah.
that's good.
So right now I'm reading or listening to some self-help books, mostly about how to handle relationships and just being better at handling people.
I think Lai, that's a good thing because you should be able to know how to manage upwards, right? So management isn't just downwards; it has to be like 360 as well. You manage your peers, you manage your people, you manage also upwards or your boss and management because that's the only way that you can be sure that the work that you're doing is aligned to the management goals, to what they're thinking, to everything that the company believes in and has set their goals on, right? So it's okay because I think for me, knowing how to manage upward, knowing how to, I don't know, capture your own power, be able to be confident in yourself, and then of course, it kind of sounds like manipulative. I don't think it's manipulative. It's a relationship building, and you're like looking for ways to improve how you deal with people. And it may sound a little bit manipulative, but it's actually just gaining your own power, right? Empowering yourself to handle relationships better. May it be up to your boss or to your peers or to even relationships that are personal to you. So I guess that if there's a book that helps you do that, be more powerful, um, speak your own voice better, you shouldn't be ashamed of letting people know that you are reading that kind of book.
Well
true.
said,
That's just
I
Cams.
agree
my
with you, Cam.
that's just my 2 cents. Because it's a skill that no one is born with. It no one is born with a skill to build
Relate.
relationships, to be better at relationships. It's something that you learn along the way. A lot of us are like really bad at it, and maybe a lot of us,
Agree.
and we need all the help that we can get. And if you're looking for that help, and if you found that help, you should be proud of it. Right?
Mm, well
I
said, Cams.
agree. what what are you reading, Cams? I saw your Instagram
Yeah.
story, but I haven't asked you about it.
It's about the Phoenix project. So it's about a tech manager, right? It's a tech manager managing like chaotic IT operations and then building the ways of working, not only internally but with the people that you work with. So it can be with sales, it's operations, etc. With your management upwards. So it's a really, really good book in the sense that it doesn't feel like it's teaching you things. So it's in a storytelling format, which I like, and
Mm,
it tells me about stuff that is I personally experienced at work because I work for a tech company, right? So
mm,
although this book started out with a company that's in a manufacturing business and with IT operations that's not really the best and world class, and I guess my company would be like better at this methodologies than they were. But it's nice to see the growth that happened from something so chaotic to not meeting any of your deadlines to something being able to be on top of those workload and then managing your partners well, managing yourself well, and feeling better about yourself and feeling more fulfilled that you are meeting your company objectives. And it really spoke to me. Like the first few pages talked about their company being second in in the industry. And it kind of combines what I learned in school also. I just recently took up my master's, right? So it's about being on the dance floor or being in the midst of things happening, and then taking a backseat and going to the balcony and looking at how things are going. So it's kind of a mixture of that, of management, from upwards looking down, and then from inside knowing all the intricacies of the work, and then doing things that actually improve the way work does to you, and then of course your own fulfillment about the work that you do, right? So something that I'm really passionate about, because I really like the work that I'm doing. I think I found my calling in that sense, that I make products that are helpful for people, but better ways of doing is always helpful for me. So something like you, Glide, that you look for ways of better ways of working. In the same way, I'm doing that also in an organization that's already very, very IT led. So
Mm.
how can we port products faster into production? How can I fully support my customers' needs? And then how can I not lose sight of what's the main objective, right? To make financial products more inclusive and accessible to everyone. So that's like my best, I don't know, purpose in life, maybe. So,
Mm.
so it's something that I'm very fortunate to be doing in my work. That something that I love, and then something that I actually have firsthand execution in. So I really hope that in the next few years to come, or the next few months, we put out more products or features or functionalities out there that will be helpful to everyone who's using our product. It's not.
Mm.
It shouldn't be like we're competing with our main competitor, right? It's more of, are we meeting the objectives? Are we meeting our customer promise? More than anything, I want to do that first, and then be more competitive. Maybe at the latter part of when we are already meeting our customers' requirements, or at least meeting our purpose and promise to our customers, right? So that's first and foremost in my mind right now. Sorry.
Wow,
So that's
Shams.
something
We we
related to
are, we
work.
are in awe.
Yeah, it's so empowering to hear your passion, Sam. I wish I have the same passions as you have
Me too.
at work.
Yeah, it's difficult though. That passion doesn't really come out in a day to day grind, right? So it comes out
True.
in reading books like this that makes you think, yeah, I appreciate what I have right now. I appreciate the work that I have right now. It kind of puts you into perspective, and the only way you really can do that is really, for me, Glee and Sil, is really reading. Puts me into perspective that I really am doing good work, or the work that I'm doing is really actually purposeful or helpful to others. So it gives me back that sense of empowerment, that sense of courage, and not get lost in the stress of it all, not get lost in the all the errors and issues that come up on a daily basis, right? And then losing sight of what's more important. This book kind of grounds me, and like, yeah, you're doing well. Plan more, be better at what you do, and that's something that I think a lot of books that we read help us out, and going
Mm.
in that kind of other perspective.
When you
True.
talk about the your passion and how this book also helped you, it just got me reminded. I'm reading also a book, but for school kind of school, and you mentioned something about making it accessible to the customers and not really challenging head on the main competitor. Do you apply? I remember there was this called Blue Ocean strategy.
Blue ocean strategy. For me, blue ocean strategy is to it's a blue ocean, something that no one knows about.
Mm.
I would rather be in a. I'm not sure if you know this line of thinking. It's a we call it in one of the books that I read. You always look at fields of play. So I'm not sure if you guys know about it, but for me, it's a more actionable, measurable, quantifiable way of doing things than a blue ocean strategy. Because blue ocean, you always go into something that you don't know anything out, not really don't know anything about, but it's something that it's for everyone to grab, right? Fields
Mm.
of play is more bite-sized pieces of going into your overall blue ocean strategy. So fields of play like rests on your core competencies, and then putting one foot outside of that core competency, and then looking at adjacent product or functionalities or features or product or businesses that are adjacent to your core competency. So that's how you grow. One step outside of the box, one step inside, and then once you gain competency and expertise in that, then go one more step outside. So it kind of expands your box into a bigger box, but you still
Mm.
play around something that you have expertise in, maybe gain more competency in, and then become bigger. So that's something I would rather recommend to people, because you really just don't go into the ocean and dive right in, right, without any tools, and
Yeah.
not even knowing how to swim. So, so for me, it's more actionable to do it in a fields of play kind of strategy and execution mode than going blue ocean strategy. Maybe it's like your bigger overall picture of where you want to go and go
Mm.
into a blue ocean strategy, but make it not so big and so, I don't know, overwhelming. Use fields of play as a way of doing it.
If I could relate that to not in an organization but to yourself, it's like knowing yourself first, be aware
Yeah.
of your strengths and your
Yes.
weaknesses and work on that, right?
Yeah. So it may not just be like a weakness that you want to work on. Maybe it's a
Mm.
strength already that you know. Like you like, for example, you like playing the guitar, and then maybe just an adjacent form of that is maybe performing for others, because it's not only for yourself, right? And then exploring other genres that is still rested on your core competency. So in that sense, maybe also apply that to a business sense. So
Mm.
um, that's something that we can all be better at, right?
You're right.
So I learned a lot from just listening to
To
Cams,
Cams,
and
yeah. And I just have to ask, Cams, do you think or do you feel that reading will help someone become a good communicator, become much more confident? What are your thoughts on that?
For me, reading kind of expands, like, first and foremost, it expands your vocabulary. It also tells you what a good story is. So, of course, reading gives you more perspective on how to tell a great story. So, in that sense, knowing how to tell a great story, knowing how to frame a story that speaks to your audience, that's something, of course, that reading can help you out with. But different in theory than in practice. So, you kind of know about it in reading, know how a good story is told, know the right words to put it in, but doing it in action is a different thing. So I guess you guys also know that part. So it's also still a skill that you have to learn as you go, try it out, and then, well, make mistakes, and then hopefully you also learn to make be a better communicator. Even you guys know that I'm a very extroverted person. I think I'm the only extroverted person in our group. So, but
yes,
am
agree.
I right? So, I'm not sure really. I also am weirded out that I always have introverted friends and I'm like the extrovert in the group all the time. But I realize that maybe you guys give me perspective as well to be a better communicator, because introverts understand things more deeply. For me, it's me. I feel like I'm a high level kind of person, shallow, if you must know. I feel like I'm a shallow person, but when I get to be around you guys, I think deeper, and I see more perspectives, and I realize that, sometimes I can be also a really, well, you guys know this, I can be also tactless or be offensive, etc. I should work on it better and all that. And I guess I'm just grateful that I found friends like you who know me to the core, right? So don't hold it against me. But something that, and even now, even though I feel like I'm a great communicator and a great person to relate with, or an extroverted person, I still have a difficulty handling and then learning. So I guess you never really become the best communicator ever, but you can always try, right? So,
Mm. But I must
True.
disagree with you that you're saying that you're shallow. Maybe there's a different word, but if you know what I mean. But I kind of disagree with you on that, Camps.
I feel shallow sometimes, how you guys like see things, and how you like, Cecil and you, Glee, you really research and go after your passions. I'm not really like that, and I always wondered about that for myself. Why am I not like that, like them? Really explore their passions, and I'm just grateful, I guess, to be friends with you guys, because I can see like, I can be influenced as well. Maybe when I also find my passion, I should go after it also. But I guess right now work is the only passion I have, which is really bad.
Not
But
really, because they say if you really love your work and you're passionate about it, your work doesn't seem to be like a work anymore.
Yeah, it's
It
like
still does, though.
not
So I don't
working.
know. I don't think that's true because work still makes you do the hard stuff, right?
Yeah.
It makes you feel better, I guess, at the end of the day that what you're doing is important and is aligned to your personal goals, but it's still a lot of work.
Yeah, totally agree. Because even in my work as well, there are times that I say like, "Oh, I'm so happy that I pursued this profession." There are just some days that you realize how lucky you are, but some days that it's not so good days. But overall, it will fit in a bigger picture. You will see the bigger picture after.
True. And
True.
sometimes you kind of lose sight of that, but if you have a work like right now, I'm reading this book, right? Gives you more perspective, and you kind of reaffirm yourself that no, I really like my work.
Mm, yeah. Sass, you have anything to add or some insights you'd like to share?
If you really want to start reading for the people out there listening to this podcast, just find a book that interests you and you can start from there. Whether it's a sorry,
It's okay.
my pamangkin is so noisy.
So cute.
Anyway, so, okay, so yeah, you can start from there. Any genre will do. There should be no such thing as discrimination with what type of book you are reading, whether it's a comic or Tagalog romance novel. So it's not a big deal as long as you're starting out that habit of reading even a chapter a day. So
Thank you so much, Sess and Cams, for imparting a part of yourself to us today and for our listeners. We definitely learned a lot and has given me a bit of inspiration to read a little bit more or otherwise still pursue the things or the entertainment that speaks to me and it doesn't need to be actually a book or anything, but something that I could learn from and give more perspective in life. So as usual, thank you Zesties and Zestmates for listening and for your shares and downloads on social media and on our website. And I'll see you guys next time.